and the person who was leaving your room stops. Their footsteps stop. Turns around, walks back. This time, with focused determination, determined footsteps are walking back to the panel. And you can start seeing the panel wiggle.
He's gonna look at Mr. Bunn and sort of nod at Mr. Bunn and then get ready to throw Mr. Bunn at whatever comes at him.
All right. The panel slides over, and you can just make out the silhouette of a figure who, again, the silhouette you do not recognize as either of your parents. What do you do?
Throw Mr. Bunn.
You throw Mr. Bunn, and this seems to take the figure by surprise, and you hear a voice say, "Maker's brat!"
He's gonna grab the backpack and then try to scurry out.
You're gonna scurry out. Roll an acrobatics.
Oh, cool. Is that just regular dexterity or?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, okay. 13? 14.
I rolled a 13. So you actually manage, the person tries to grab a hold of you, but you manage to scurry past, and you can see the flash of what appears to be some sort of like knight's armor. As you manage to get away from the grasp of this gentleman. The door to your room is still wide open. What do you do?
Is this on the second floor?
This is on the second floor.
He's gonna scurry through the door and then try to go out the back door, assuming that everyone came in through the front door, or away from the noises.
Okay, so you're gonna bolt out of your room.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you bolt out of your room, and the person in the armor yells out, "Come back here, you brat!" You're gonna make your way to the staircase, and just as you are about to hit the top of the stairs, you run into, almost crashing into, another figure wearing armor. And that figure looks like... There you go. This woman who is holding a spear. And she has a very concerned look on her face. Are you gonna attempt to...
he's gonna
to dodge past her?
Look at the spear and look at the armor and try to dodge through the legs and out.
Go ahead and roll another acrobatics.
11.
11? Okay, so it's going to be a bit tricky to make your way past this woman, because she actually does take up a good chunk of the staircase. So the only way that you can conceivably do it, and do it safely, requires a higher roll.
Yeah.
So you try to, I guess, scurry underneath her legs, but the problem is this is a staircase. So you actually start to fall and tumble down the stairs, and you start to feel, the pain of falling down these stairs when a very strong hand grabs a hold of your arm to prevent you from falling even further, so you don't continue hurting yourself.
Hi. He's currently very terrified, so he's just gonna struggle as hard as he can and say, let me go, Bun, save me.
You're gonna try to struggle away, and you can hear the voice of the man who was up in your room call out, "There he is!" And he actually pulls out his sword.
He's gonna see him and see the sword and be like, "What'd you do to Mr. Bun?"
At this point, the woman very authoritatively says, "Sir Garrison, put that away. I found him upstairs. He was hiding." And she says, "Sir Garrison, I'm not going to repeat myself. Put that away." And Sir Garrison coughs a bit, and then he puts the sword away.
Leon.
She then turns towards you. Go ahead.
Leon's still struggling with all his might, and then sees that he can't really quite struggle out, so he's going to try to, bite her fingers.
Roll me a strength roll.
Okay. 7.
You'll try to bite her fingers, but she will easily be able to overpower you, but not in a... not so forceful in a
enough to at least keep the child, like, not hurt the child.
Correct. And she says, young man, calm down. Calm down. I know this is very scary for you.
He's gonna start crying, not like angry tears, but very frustrated tears, and then scared tears, and be like, "Where's mom? Where's dad? Mr. Bond, where is he?" He's very, very confused and still struggling a lot.
She looks at you, and she has her face remains stoic, but her eyes, you can see in her eyes that she has a bit of concern there. And she yells downstairs, and she says, Sir Maris, could you please finish up before I take the boy downstairs? Yes, Sir Trevelyan, is what a female voice downstairs says. She looks back at you and she says, look, we're up in a staircase and it's not safe for you to be wriggling around right now. I need you to... Let's get you back upstairs and we'll talk about your parents.
Are they okay? Who are you?
Your parents are dead.
He's going to be first shocked, and then, like he was physically hit, sort of slump, and then just sort of a little. No, they can't. Where are they? You can't kill them. He's very, very confused, and it's.
Sir Trevelyan, by this point, she has led you at the top of the stairs, and as soon as Sir Garrison says your parents are dead, she shoots him this look of, of complete disapproval.
Where's Mr. Bunn? He's gonna sort of gain a little bit more glow. Where's Mr. Bunn? He protected me. Where is he? Did you kill him too?
Mr. Bunn? Who's Mr. Bunn?
Is
he a...
He's a bunny. What do you expect? He's Mr. Bunn.
Sir Trevelyan will guide you back into your room, and you can see that Mr. Bunn is safe in your room on the floor, clearly keeping watch just to make sure nobody else messes with your room. Clearly.
Leon's going to run to Mr. Bunn if he can, and just sort of grab it and rock back and forth, and just start bawling on the ground. He's confused about what's going on. He's scared that parents are dead, which they can't be. It's impossible, and very upset about the whole situation.
The woman kneels by your bedside, and again, her face is stoic, but her eyes have great eyes of concern, and she says, I would not have dropped the news to you as directly as Sir Garrison would have. But yes, it is true. Your parents are dead.
You can't kill them. They can't die. They coming into more of the face of mortality. Yes, he's seen mortality in the animals that they consume, but that's animals. That's not people. That's not the constant that's been in his life. His parents. Dad'll heal himself. He can heal anything. He can't die.
I hate to break it to you, son, but your parents are the bad guys.
No, he heals people. We don't see anyone. There's no one here. How can he be bad?
Sir Trevelyan immediately shifts around towards Sir Garrison, and she actually runs up to Sir Garrison and sort of shoves him up against the wall forcibly. And as soon as she shoves him up against the wall, she takes out her finger and she says, "You will not speak about his parents in that way in front of him. Do you hear me?" And Sir Garrison, for the first time, he's taken aback by this, and he starts to take her seriously. Apologies, Sir Trevelyan, but if I may, do you think it would be a disservice to not tell the poor boy the truth? At this, Sir Trevelyan doesn't say anything right away. I don't know if you say or do anything.
He's pretty shut down right now. The news of his parents just sort of dying. He still doesn't believe it, but he's looking at Mr. Bunn, and even Mr. Bunn can't really come up with any good explanation for any of this. It's just very overwhelming for poor Leon, and he's rocking back and forth, clutching Mr. Bunn, and just tears. His face is stained with tears, but yet he can't cry anymore.
Sir Garrison, Sir Trevelyan says again, back to the gentleman, please go downstairs and let us prepare to go back to the circle. What about him? I will take care of it, Sir Garrison. And Sir Garrison will, in a huff, go downstairs. She walks over to Leon, and she, again, gets down to his level, and she asks, I'm going to ask you this once. Do you want to see them? Or would you rather not?
Yes, I want to see my parents. Where are they? He doesn't realize that she's asking, do you want to see their body? He still assumes, do you want to see them?
I'll take you. They're downstairs. And she'll hold out her hand to you.
He's gonna take it and clutch Mr. Bunn in the other arm with his backpack on his back. He looks up at her. He's gonna nod slightly.
She'll take you downstairs, and the house is a mess. You can see that there is blood on the floor. And right by where the fireplace where the mantle is, there appears to be a body, not of your parents, but the body of a Templar. And his neck seems to have been snapped in a very unnatural position. And his eyes seem to have rolled up behind his head. And there seems to be a puddle of drool coming from his mouth on the floor. And there's this one of the female Templars, who you assume was the female Templar that Sir Trevelyan was calling down to, is starting to tend to this body, who seems to be completely lifeless. And she will walk you past the body of the Templar outside, and you will see your parents. They are on their backs, and they have been placed with their hands crossed on their chests. And you can see that one of them, your father, seems to have a piercing wound, right through his chest. And your mother seems to have her throat seems to have been slit. And they are very pale, and they're very cold, and they're very lifeless.
He's gonna see the corpses. He's gonna drop his bunny right onto the ground, and sort of run over to them, try to clutch at them, saying, "Come on, you can wake up, right? This is fine. You're fine. Just, I've seen you do this before. Just come on." He's gonna try to clutch at them, shake them.
You're gonna clutch at them and shake of them, but your parents do not respond.
It's fine, right? You're fine. You're just sleeping, right? It's fine. He's sort of mentally shut down at this point. He is really overwhelmed with everything that's been going on. You know, just yesterday they were running around and playing, and everything was fine, but now there's nothing. It's the house is empty. There's nothing there left for him. There's just two bodies on the ground.
You have this moment with your parents. Before I continue, though, I do need to ask, what happened to the book that was in your hands?
He had thrown it into his backpack right before the Templar came into his room.
Sir Trevelyan will continue to allow you to have whatever moment time you need with your parents. Is there anything else that you do before you finally get up, I guess?
He's going to slowly come to the realization that his parents are dead. He's going to sort of clutch at their hands. Is rigor mortis set in, or are they?
How long does it normally take?
Few hours,
Does that
I
normally?
think.
I think rigor mortis is normally like 6-7 hours before it
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it hasn't been long enough.
Cool,
It hasn't
cool.
been long enough.
So he's just going to clutch at their hands, and then from the cross position, just sort of put his mom's hand in his dad's hand and say, "You'll be fine together." And then just pick up Mr. Bunn, look at the female knight, squeeze her hand, and say, I think it's time.
You can't be here by yourself. We need to get you someplace safe.
Where will I go?
Well, I know that we're complete strangers and you don't know who any of us are. And I know you must have a lot of questions about what's going on in your parents. And we'll try to answer them for you as best as we can. But in order to keep you safe, I think we should take you back to the circle.
But I don't know what the circle is, but please, I don't know what's going on. Please just be kind.
She'll reach out and take your hand. What is your name, young man?
Leon Faust.
Well, Leon Faust, you can call me Nazim.
Okay. Let's see what the future holds, Nazim.
She will nod, and she will start to take you back. And while you guys are journeying back, I'm going to say that Sir Garrison is actually going to take a hold of your backpack.
He's gonna fight that because
Yeah.
all that this guy has been doing has just been awful things.
Oh, yeah.
So he's gonna fight back, saying, "No, it's my snacks, my snacks."
I just need to check some things before we can take you back to the circle.
He's gonna look at Nazim, and
Nazim looks at Mr. Sir Garrison and looks back into you and says, Leon, I'm afraid he's right. We do need to check your belongings. Do we have permission to?
he's gonna
Please.
look at Nazim. He's gonna look at Sir Garrison.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna give him like a little glare, and then slowly release the backpack.
Slowly release the backpack. He will start rummaging through it.
And I'm gonna say, Leon's gonna say, "Don't eat my snacks."
He said, don't worry, I'm on a diet. He says. Really now? Nazim says, I thought this morning you said you were on your cheat day. He ignores her and continues rummaging through. And then his hand falls on the book. Now, the book doesn't have a title on it. I think. So he takes the book and he holds it up and says, "What is this?"
It's a family cookbook.
Is that so? He'll start looking through the book, thumbing through the pages. Herring pie? Who in their right mind would eat a herring pie?
You gotta make what you've got. He sort of gestures to the forest.
He shuts the book, places it back into the backpack. He's clean, and he gives the backpack back.
Just gonna clutch at the backpack, sort of look in and count the snacks.
Thank you, Leon. I'm sure that herring pie would be far too fattening for Sir Garrison, anyway.
Just gonna, when Nazim looks away, just sort of go, eh.
And we'll end the scene there. Okay. Good job, Sam.
Could we petition for Mr. Buns to become like a figment of his imagination now? Just for like the psychic, the shit just happened to him.
The madness, Mr. Buns. Oh,
He's gonna come to us to defeat God himself.
He becomes a demon rabbit to kill all.
Oh,
Do it,
also,
Leon. Do it.
also, Sam, props for the shaking. Good man, that was great.
Good job. All right. Who comes next? Pasha,
Yep,
I think.
Yep.
there's
Pasha.
13.
Pasha. The year is 949 Dragon. It is present time as far as this campaign is concerned. You are back in Parvalin. The time that you had spent outside of Parvalin in Kirkwall unfortunately didn't bring up any new leads as much as you would hope. You knew it was going to be a long shot, but at least you were doing something as opposed to just sticking around in Parvalin. But you're back in Parvalin, trying to decide what to do next. And I'm going to say that you are at the port, and for whatever reason, you're over at the port side. Maybe you're running an errand of some sort, getting some fish at the market of... I'm not sure how... I'm not sure what reason. It doesn't really matter at this point. But I will preface this by saying that it is very well known, especially because you work with the Arakun, the branch of the Arakun, correct? That is correct. Yeah, the Arashak represents the body. The Aragena represents the mind of the Kinari. And they are like commerce and inventions, like advancements in technology, things like that. And then the Arakun is the spirit or the soul of the Kinari. And they basically are like the religion and the teachings and all that good stuff. So, to set things up for the rest of the audience, the role of the Arakun seems to be opening up, because the current Arakun, is it that they eventually like step down if they feel that they are not fit for the position?
I believe so.
Okay, so it's not like they necessarily have to fulfill the role until they die. It's until they determine they are not fit anymore.
Yeah.
So the Arakun has been expressing as each year passes that it might be their last, just because they just feel that they are not going to be able to commit to the role as much as they had been in the past. And I'm going to say that you're at the port, as I said, and this airship thing arrives. Now, airships is common because of your relationship and alliance with Ferelden. King Maximilian said, hey, we can help you guys out. We'll give you guys water and let you guys, live with water, because water is kind of important, and you've been snubbed by the Pentaphoebe Guardian of Water herself, Andrea. So she's not a very popular person in these parts.
He's a horrible person, It's terrible. Not at all a hero.
Yes. So because of your alliance with the King Maximilian, you do owe them a lot. And so that is why you guys have helped them by providing things, resources, not only for food because they need food because they don't, their earth is not of higher quality, but also some of your Gatlock technology, among other things. And they also have provided you with some of the plans for airships. So the Arishok has a lovely fleet of airships that they've been using for what purposes? I'm sure you can probably imagine what the purposes are for. But anyway, one of the airships arrive, and most of the airships are used for trade, not for like commercial purposes for random people to travel, mostly for trade. And this appears to be one of the ships, basically based on how it is. The heraldry of the ship, it appears to be one from King Maximilian's fleet. It's not the final judgment. King Maximilian has his own private Air Force One airship called Final Judgment. It's not this grand or big. It's a much smaller one. And you catch a sight of this young man getting off of the ship.
Okay.
Relatively handsome young man, higher teens. You would probably estimate him being 16 or 17 years of age, human. He is dressed in leatherish armor, very nice looking, and he will emerge with sort of like a bag or a satchel of some sort behind him, and he looks around, and you can tell that he's sort of new around these parts. He seems to be kind of a fish out of a water kind of thing almost, and your eyes meet, and as soon as your eyes meet, he actually starts to walk towards your direction.
Okay. Pasha will. She's going to take some steps towards him, but she's not exactly meeting him halfway. Like, she's moving towards him, but he's definitely going to have to do more of the walking to get to her. She's like, she comes to him, like, kind of stops, and like, if he is going to come towards me, then he can't. Kind of deal.
Okay. I mean, well, he is walking towards your direction. So, excuse me, madam, the boy asks.
I think she probably first responds in Qunlat because, again, she's in her home. She's more used to Qunlat, and then she kind of, oh, sorry, dear. Yes, can I help you?
Yes. I was wondering, if I wish to speak with the Aragena, whom should I speak to get an audience with her? Yes, I think Aragena is female in this version. The Arikun is male. Your Arikun is male.
So Pasha kind of, she stands kind of like back on her feet, and she kind of, well, the Aragena, you would have to talk to and she'll give a Kunari title, and then she, what would that be in common? Secretary, I think would be an appropriate translation. If I may, you typically don't just speak to one of the triumvirate. You typically have to make an appointment.
Oh, yes. I do have an appointment. And he actually pulls out a document that he shows you, and it is a document signed by, to your surprise, King Maximilian of Ferelden himself. That essentially gives him, basically proves that he has permission to speak with the Arigena.
Okay. Upon seeing the title, she whistles and says, "Well, aren't you quite the messenger?"
Oh, I'm nobody special, he says.
Oh, everyone's special, my dear, just in different ways. And now then, to get to the, and again, Kunari word, and she probably wouldn't translate that one, but basically the location the Arigena is in, whatever you would call that building. She starts giving him directions, and I think she probably looks up at the sun and says, I'm not needed back for a few hours yet. If you'd like, I can take you there. It's really no problem.
That'd be wonderful. If you don't mind me asking, what is your name, or how should I address you?
Well, if you want to be formal, you could call me Tamazran, but if that isn't quite your style, feel free to call me Pasha.
Pasha. I think Pasha would be easier. Thank you.
And you are, young man?
My name is Nathan.
Pleasure to meet you, Nathan, and she holds out a hand.
He will shake the hand, and he says, thank you very much. Please don't take this the wrong way at all, but I didn't expect you to be so friendly.
It's true, we Kunari, we tend to be a stoic breed, but that is not a universal truth. My common is decent enough. I'm quite happy enough to communicate.
I see. And if you don't mind me asking, what is your title, occupation, purpose, passion? I'm not sure what to call it. Sorry.
I am a Tamazran. I'm a teacher. I look after children.
Oh, I see. So that means you are with the Aracuans, I guess, branch of the Kunari.
Yes, he is my, what would you call it, superior, perhaps? I answer to him.
Well, this is quite fortuitous, then. I admit that my main purpose here was to discuss dealings with the Arigena from His Highness King Sunworth. But between you and me, I also have a secondary mission as well. I had been meaning to send a message to the Aracune, but I don't officially have proper documentation to have an audience with the Aracune. How difficult would that be to acquire permission?
Difficult. Not particularly difficult if you're going through the proper channels. It could take some while, though. The Aracune has been rather predisposed as of late.
I see. Well, it was a long shot, but I just wanted to ask. I figured it wouldn't hurt.
May I inquire what the message is? If you are sending messages from the King of Ferelden, then that might bump you up the ladder, as it were.
It actually is a response of an inquiry that one of the members of the Aracune had asked of King Sunworth. I think the name is Salit?
Pasha raises an eyebrow, and the great problem with Kunari names is that everyone has the same name. There are thousands of Tamazrans, there are thousands of Stens, there are maybe not thousands of Salits, but hundreds at least.
Oh, I see. That does make things a little tricky then.
Do you have a physical description or a moniker that perhaps they use?
I honestly am not 100% sure because I never actually met the person myself. Again, I'm just the messenger. I don't know what even the contents of the message is, only that King Sunworth had a response, but normally his dealings, the agreement is that he has direct dealings with the Aragena, not necessarily the Arakun. And to be quite honest, I don't think the Arakun or this Salit provided an easy way for King Sunworth to respond. Or if they did, then he missed it.
If you'd like, you could leave the message with me and perhaps I could do something that you could not, perhaps? If you'd rather not, then I'm fine, but as it stands, your message may take quite a while to reach its intended target.
I suppose that that might work. And as he's about to take the message, this other Kunari pipes up from behind you. So this Kunari approaches from behind, and she says, "Did I overhear that this young man wishes to get an audience with the Arakun? Oh, well, dear, I can help you. Pasha, I'm very glad that you are here to aid in the affairs of the Arakun, but I assure you, I will be able to be far more efficient and far swifter and far more successful."
Upon hearing Azra's voice, Pasha's face just... and she plasters this smile on her face that's a little bit too wide, like an eye is twitching as she's listening to this.
I guess Nathan will respond, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You are? You may call me Astra, dear." "Astra, nice to meet you." Nathan says, "My name is," and she finishes his sentence, and she says, "You are Prince Nathan Cassius Sunworth, son of the King of Fereldum himself. Isn't that right?" Yes, that is correct. "See, I've done my homework. Pasha, you didn't seem to recognize this young man as soon as he got off the ship, did you?"
Well, no, I didn't, but I don't spend my time looking at foreign nobilities. I actually spend my time working.
Well, perhaps that is where the problem lies, she says. If you spend so much time narrowly focused on one thing, you miss out on a lot of information and rare opportunities such as this.
Again, of course you would see opportunities here, Azra. You couldn't simply help out a young man.
Well, I'm sure you have, like you said, you're a very busy person and you have much work to do, and I wouldn't want to add more to your plate, so I will gladly take this young man off your hands so you can go and do all of the important things that you should be doing.
Pasha says, yes, I was actually just down at the market trying to taken the latest order for fish to feed my children. How are your children doing, Azra? Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you give that up to go to more of a desk job?
Yes, I managed to elevate myself up rather high in the world, she says, as opposed to working with, well, smelly, stinky fish.
At that, Pasha pauses. Just deep breath. Pasha's going to ignore Azra, and she will say to Nathan, if it is more agreeable that Azra takes you to see the Aragana, then I shall wish you a good day, and she will await his answer.
At this point, so Nathan's been sort of seemed. You can tell he's a little uncomfortable,
Yep.
like looking back and forth between these two women, and he says, ultimately, I suppose if one of you would be able to get me to the Arikun faster, that would be beneficial, ultimately. Astra says, oh yes, that will be me. Come along, dear. And she already like physically starts to grab a hold of Prince Nathan's shoulder and starts to lead him away from you. If you don't say or do anything, she's just going to continue.
I think Pasha is going to let her.
Okay.
Because arguing in front of a prince probably won't reflect good on their country.
Okay. And so I guess Nathan is going to look towards your direction as he's being physically moved. Like he's being physically moved by this woman who's doesn't seem to be taking no for an answer, even from the prince. And he says, it was nice meeting you, Pasha. I wish you well in your teaching endeavors. I've always had a great respect for teachers of all types.
Pasha will shout back to him. I hope that your journey to the Arakun is pleasant. And she kind of eyes up Azra, just like ding.
So they will go off, and as you watch them go off, you will hear another voice from behind you, a male voice, walk up to you from behind and say, "So, that went well." It's Salit.
Hey.
I only caught the last of that conversation right around the time that Astra was inserting herself to whatever conversation you were having with that young man. He looks familiar, though.
He probably should. Apparently he's a Prince Nathan Caspian, something like that. Sunworth.
Prince Nathan Cassius Sunworth?
Cassius.
That young man? I guess I do see the resemblance.
Really? Then again, I don't think I've ever seen a picture of King Maximilian, so...
What was that all about? I only caught the last bit of it.
He was trying to find the Aragana, and I was going to take him. However, you know, Azra, always where the important people are.
Well, Azra's always been very ambitious.
She has.
And she smells good, too. Not to say that you don't smell good, it's just spending a lot of time with the fish. You know what I'm saying.
I don't spend a lot of time with the fish.
You smell homely. You smell homely.
Think about your words, Salit.
I think I will just put that to rest right there.
There you go, my boy.
Astra, like I said, I don't particularly care for her very much. Not that my opinion means anything, but As I said, she's very ambitious, and I think it is quite obvious that she is trying to vie for the position of the next Arakun. And I can't imagine what it would be like working underneath her.
Tiring. There would be no sleep, no rest. Ugh, she'd probably have me sent to God knows where.
But I've also heard though that the Arakun was also considering you to be the successor as well.
Don't get me wrong. It's an honor to be considered, but you know me, Salit. I've wanted one thing my entire life, and that is children. And if I were Arakun, then I would be separated from them. If that is what the Arakun decided, then of course. If that is what is best for the Kun, then that is what I would do. But it's not something I'm particularly working towards.
Really? Not even just a little bit? I mean, just think about it. You could finally put Astra in her place. You could finally put her in a place that is more fitting for the good of the Kun.
What are they called in Ferelden? Jesters? That would I would have the most pleasant dreams, but as much as I would love putting Azra in her place, my children have always come first.
I always thought that Astra's name was misspelled. I always thought it required an extra S. Don't you think? An extra S.
Oh, yes. That would be my first act as Arakun, to respell her name, then Jester.
Fitting. Very fitting.
Speaking of my children, Salit.
Yes?
That young man said he had a response from King Maximilian to a Salit. You haven't been spending any time in Ferelden, have you?
I might have made my way to Ferelden once or twice with the Arakun. On occasion, for various missions that were on a need-to-know basis.
Fair. Still, what is King Maximilian doing writing to you?
Well, what makes you think that he was writing to me? I mean, there are plenty of Salits around here. Of course, I'm the best looking of them all. So, of course, if anyone was going to remember one, it would be myself. But I don't think I've personally ever met the man, Nathan Cassius Sunworth, before.
But what about his father?
I mean, I've met his father once or twice, yes, with the Arakun.
She kind of looks him up and down with that kind of like a motherly, you're like, are you lying to me, Salit? Are you lying? But she doesn't say anything.
He looks up at the sun and says, "Oh, well, look at the time. I think I need to be off. Good to see you, though, Pasha. We will talk again later."
It is always a pleasure to see you, Salit.
He will nod and he will be off.
Okay.
All right. Not as intense, but we're gonna move on to the next person. Who is that?
Me.
Oh, Tirin.
Suffering to continue.
Tirin.
Ah, God.
I'm going to say this is back in 938. Because this basically happens
Before the Caravan ride.
Before the caravan ride.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay, so you're still a young.
I'm still
boy.
young. I'm still young.
Okay. You're out in the back somewhere, and you are such an awful person because you accidentally dropped one of the kettles, one of the porcelain kettles, and it had cracked when you dropped it. And because you had dropped it, you are being punished in order to help teach you to not be so clumsy again. And I'm going to say that you're out back. You do not have. I'm going to say though that you don't have your shirt because the few times that this has happened before, it's like it's torn your shirt, and you know the master doesn't want to continually trying to replace it every single time. So you don't have your shirt, and at this point, like you can hear the crack of the whip. It's pretty much something that you've kind of gotten used to, but it's still painful. What do you do? What is in your headspace as this is happening to you?
In my headspace, there is essentially me just going in my head. It'll be over soon. It'll be over soon. You've done this before. It'll be over soon. Why are you still screaming? It'll be over soon. This repeat of that line is multiplied in my head as I'm getting multiple times. But even with that, Tirin would still scream because he's had this pain going on for a long time now, and he's still like screaming out the pain. But he's trying to say that this will over be soon. It's only a few whips.
When this session is over, it feels like your back has been seared with hot coals. That's how it feels like. And your master goes up in front of you, and he sort of takes his long finger and he sort of like lifts your head up by the chin, and he looks up at you and he says, "Do you think that you've learned your lesson, Tirin?"
Yes, I have learned it well, master. I will not drop the pot again.
It was so foolish of you. Very foolish. Very stupid. Very irresponsible. I'm very disappointed with you, Tirin. You have so much promise, and I know that you can do so much better if you just believe. I think that's the problem here. You just don't believe enough that you're better.
I will see this mistake as an improvement. Please, master, just give me a chance. Please, not the whip anymore. Not the whip.
All right. Because I am a very forgiving and very generous master, I will not take away your rations for tonight. In fact, I might give you a little bit of an extra piece of bread, just because I understand that you are trying so hard to not be so stupid.
I nod.
All right. He looks down at the ground, and there's like a few bit drops of blood that are down the ground, and he says, "Make sure you clean that up on your way out."
I bow down to him and I kiss the ground like, as the master wishes.
Oh, and Tirin, one more thing. We are going to put your newfound knowledge, your new lessons to the test, because we are going to have, I have a very important guest for tea over this afternoon, and I expect you to put on a very happy face and be ready to help our special guest.
I nod. As the master commands, I will do so.
That's what I'd like to hear. Oh, Tirin, you're so good to me.
I just bow my head to him.
He will leave, and you will go ahead and...
I scrub the place, I take a bucket, I ask for a bucket of water, just grab a cloth and just remove the blood marks. Cursing a bit, just going, ow, why do you have to do that? And what special guest this is all about? And I clean off the pot.
The afternoon rolls around, and you can hear that there is... I'm gonna say you're in the kitchen area. It's about time for you to come out and serve the tea. So there's a nice tray and that brand new porcelain teapot that you're going to try so hard to not drop. And you are getting ready to bring it out for the guest. As you are coming out, because you're so rattled from that punishment, I would like for you to roll me another acrobatics check or dexterity roll with a disadvantage to not drop this tea.
What would that be, a minus? Will it be a -1 or 2?
I would say roll twice and get the lower of the two rolls.
Got you.
Just like in D&D, I will say.
Alrighty, so the lowest would be that would be a 13.
Okay, great. That's actually good. So you will manage to come out with the tray. You might be shaking a little bit because you're so nervous, and you're probably telling yourself, "Don't drop the tray. Don't drop the tray." And you can see that right now your master is having a pleasant, pleasant conversation with this man who looks like that is his guest.
I've never seen him before.
You overhear this conversation, and you can hear your master say, "So, Bastwick, how's the Colosseum going along? I heard that Miss Stormbringer has been very successful as of late." Bastwick says, "The Colosseum is very lucrative. I haven't seen you there in quite some time, Amerin." Amerin, "Oh, well, I've been doing a lot of traveling as of late." "Oh, Tirin, my boy, good to see you."
Teas, and I I go over and I start to kind of set the mugs, and I pour as much as they essentially tell me to stop. So
I guess you'll pour the tea, and Amerin will start to take a sip. Oh, Tirin, this tea is much too hot. Too hot.
My apologies. Would you like me to blow it over, sir?
Yes, please do, he says as he hands the cup to you. Buster kind of raises an eyebrow at this, at you blowing into his tea, and he actually takes a sip of his. Amerin, I actually think the tea is quite fine. It's actually relatively lukewarm. Lukewarm? Your tea is lukewarm? Tirin, he says.
Sir, I did my best to give it equal amounts, but if he has lukewarm tea, I guess the guest would suffice that he has also good tea.
Bostwick says, no, this is actually fine. I'm good, Tirin, I'm good. Oh, no. You're just trying to be polite, Bostwick. Tirin, clearly, you have failed to meet the standards that I have for my guests. I suppose we're going to have a discussion about that.
But I've already. He tries to say something, but he doesn't want to say the actual thing.
Amerin, Bostwick pipes up and says, I actually was wondering if I could go to the little boy's room. I was wondering, Mr. Tirin, is it? Do you think you could escort me?
If the master would allow me, I would do so, yes.
Yes, that's fine. I'm sure that's one thing that Tirin won't botch. Showing you the bathroom.
I'm gonna set the tray. I'm gonna look the boss. If you can wait me 1 moment, sir, and I'll take the pot and I will leave the pot there. So that means I'm gonna move the tray back to the kitchen, and I'll come back.
All right, you'll come back, and Boswick will have dabbed, a napkin onto his chin, and he will rise up and he will follow you.
I lead into my room.
Once you are out of the dining area and out of earshot of your master, Boswick is just going to start having a conversation with you, and he's going to say, "So, Tirin, right?
Yes, Sir Boswick.
How long have you been working for your master?"
3 years. I was 5 when I started.
5?
Yes.
I have servants myself, but I don't think any of my servants have been serving me since they were 5. Normally, I would wait until, at the youngest, 11 or 12, at the absolute youngest.
Well, my mom and dad were born as well. When my mom gave birth to me, she was also a slave along with my father, and I kind of was allowed to stay here in the house. And then at 5, Dad ran away. A couple of slaves had some issues, and he told me I had to start working.
He looks down at you, and he seems to be studying you a little carefully. He doesn't say anything, but he just seems to be studying you. I don't know if you say anything or react to it, but he's just looking at you.
I just blink for a bit, like.
He looks down at your hands, and I think you probably have some marks on your hands at the moment.
Yeah, they're not bandaged. There's not like the final stage. They're whipped scars still a bit there. So.
Did you have an accident? He says, as he looks down at your hands.
He kind of goes, just mistakes I have done.
Boswick sort of frowns at this, and he kind of repeats what you said, mistakes you've done. Like in sort of like you can kind of catch a little bit of a sense, like, mistakes you've done.
I just give a nod. Mistakes, as the master tells me, yes.
Tell me, Tirin, what do you normally like to do to pass the time? What do you do for fun?
Fun? I read a bit. I sometimes in my room, and Amryn sometimes gives me a few books to read. He wants me to be intelligent, and I sometimes read some of the books he gave me. I am more interested in is it I don't know how to say it in the actual word. It's about the human body, the bodies, and like helping people out and stuff like that.
Anatomy, biology.
Yes, that one.
I see. Huh. Well, do you think you'd ever manage to reach that point?
Becoming an expert in it? I do not know. I doubt it with my current position, sir.
I think that if you manage to learn a little bit more about biology or anatomy, you could be very useful around the estate. So useful that your hands would be far too valuable for your master for anything to happen to them. It would not be in his best interest for anything to happen to your hands or to you, much to that matter. You'd be far too valuable that way.
I guess you might be right, but I'm still young. I'm still don't understand many things. Well, I merely try to do as much as I can and learn from what I have, but I think it will take me years. I will still be a servant to the master.
For someone so young, you seem to behave so much older.
It's like, I guess it's experience, maybe, or learning. When you're kind of sighs, not knowing what to say next.
It'll be at this point that you will arrive at the destination, and Boswick will, of course, excuse himself as he goes inside. And go ahead.
I let him go first, and I'll follow him inside the room.
Okay. And with that, he will basically return back, and he will actually take you. Well, you will actually escort him back to the dinner table, or the dining area, excuse me, in silence. He doesn't really say anything unless you say anything or start up any conversation.
I will continue following, but then I kind of think for a bit and say, "Is there a problem, sir? Is my room not allocated to what's supposed to be?"
Problem, you say? I don't think that there's a problem, but that doesn't mean that there isn't something that needs to be fixed.
I kind of look up to him and I go, am I being disrespectful just to ask what problems can be fixed?
He says, that is a true question, my dear Tirin. There are problems that need to be fixed. Can they be fixed? That's the harder thing to answer.
I just nod slowly.
At this point, you will finally arrive at the dining area, and I'm going to say that the tea will continue, and Bostwick and your master will continue having pleasantries. And I'm going to say that you will be in the kitchen. You're actually going to overhear Bostwick mention your name. And he says, "So, my dear Marin, I had a question for you. That one servant that you have, Tirin is his name?" "Yes, fine, young boy." He says, "Much potential indeed. I have very high hopes for that one." "Yes, I can see that. I can see clearly how valuable he is to you. But I was also thinking, Amaran, that he could be a very valuable person over at the Colosseum as well. I was wondering," he says, "have you ever considered maybe selling him? Probably at a much higher price." And this Amaran sort of puts his tea down. "You want to purchase one of my servants?" "Oh, I don't know. The thought just crossed my mind. I was just, curious about your thoughts, Mr. Amaran." And Marin says, "I appreciate the offer, Bostwick, but I'm afraid Tirin is not for sale." "Oh, well, that's quite a shame. I just thought that maybe you at least consider. But I guess if it's not something that you think would be a beneficial trade, then so be it." And Bostwick will continue sipping onto his tea.
Tirin just kind of it's like he has his ear to the wall just listening to this, and he goes, "Colosseum? Why does he want me? Does he... No." And he's like going through his thoughts right now, like, why does he want me? Why does he want to get me? And I'm just gonna go, "I better have to continue these things, otherwise I'm really mad." And I start like doing whatever stuff I have in the kitchen that I was doing, cleanup and stuff like.
Okay. And you're going to continue about your business.